It's an axiom used all the time. Give to God what is God and give to Caesar what is Caesar. Giving to God is not money. It is giving your life to God. Giving to Caesar is taxes. That's the connotation of that axiom. They don't even understand it. They don't understand because they spend their time gossiping under trees. They don't read. So when Jesus Christ said that, they didn't understand. Look at the way they use it. As if giving the tithe is for God and the pension to Okomensa is to Caesar. Really? Okay. I did not sign a form to be cheated. Okay. That's what they said. It goes on. For 3 years, he was not paid any salary. And when he did receive any payment, it was 300 Ghana cedis a month. In their natural and ordinary meaning, the said words quoted in the first publication meant and were understood to mean that the plaintiff, which is Lighthouse, as a Christian organization, falsely and deceptively pretends to give light and spiritual direction to persons seeking God, whilst indeed and in fact, the plaintiff practices the exact opposite. This is the summary of the Lighthouse lawyers in terms of everything that Sulemana, Braimah, and Manasseh did. This is how the Lighthouse lawyers have summarized it. And this is what they are taking to the court. And this is their position. The defendants, Manasseh, Azuri, and Sulemana, Braimah, and Fourth Estate, they will have to defend themselves. I wish them well. The plaintiff uses means of cunning and subterfuge. This is what they allege, though. The Lighthouse uses means of cunning and subterfuge to lure people desirous of doing God's work into its fold and makes a shipwreck of their faith, leading them to hell instead of heaven. Wow! This is what they said about the organization. How are they going to prove this in court? They must have brilliant lawyers. I'm sure that Samson Ladiayini is getting ready. But he must be able to master a lot of courage and a lot of legal nuances to defend something like this. This is what they wrote. How are they going to defend this? The reputation is gone. They said that Lighthouse uses means of cunning and subterfuge to lure people desirous of doing God's work into his fold, and then they make a shipwreck of their faith, leading them to hell. Really? They know how people go to hell? The Manasseh Azuri, he knows how people go to hell. He knows it. Sulemana, Braimah, Sulemana, you know about hell. You know how people go to hell. And you say that they lead people to hell. Which hell? Hell at Latabia Koshi or hell where? Or at the West Africa Media Foundation office. That's the hell they lead them to. Maybe. Okay. The plaintiff as a religious organization has mastered the art of combining right and wrong and or good and evil. The plaintiff is guilty. That's the Lighthouse Church. This is what Manasseh said. The Lighthouse Church is guilty of the criminal conduct of deliberate failing or refusing to pay its employees Social Security contributions contrary to the National Pensions Act. How can you make a statement like this without talking to snitch? Can you even imagine? I mean, please, viewers, forget about my fight with Manasseh. Forget about us. Listen to this. A journalist writes this. He doesn't talk to snitch. He has not asked snitch any question. He hasn't checked whether the facts that have been alleged are true or not. He just comes and publishes that Lighthouse is guilty. He's pronounced them. He's not a high court. He's not a circuit court. He's not a high court. He's not a court of appeal. He's not a Supreme Court. But he has power to pronounce people guilty. Has he read the Constitution? Who has power to pronounce people guilty? Sulemana, Braimah, you sit down and talk West African Media Foundation. Have you read the Constitution? Do you know who pronounces people guilty? You think you and I can stand up and pronounce people guilty? You think I can stand here and say somebody is guilty? It's only the High Court that can pronounce people guilty. You can't pronounce people guilty. But they said the Lighthouse is guilty of the criminal code. They are invoking the criminal code and making conclusions of guilt upon the criminal code by means of websites. By means of a website, they are invoking the criminal code and making substantial pronouncements upon the criminal code by means, not by means of a high court, not by means of a writ before a court, but by means of a website. Really? Okay. The plaintiff is guilty of the criminal conduct of deliberate failing or refusing to pay its employees Social Security contributions contrary to this. Okay. The plaintiff embraces, that's Lighthouse, this is Manasseh talking. The plaintiff embraces cheating as a policy which it employs unashamedly against its employees. Hey, so people who say they are journalists can write these things on websites without any basis, not one basis, and they say they are investigative journalists, and they have received investigative journalist awards. And this is the kind of work. Now, I had always known that this is the kind of work they do because I'm in the business with them. And we know among ourselves, we know which journalist is hiding microphone and doing this and that. I mean, the kind of information I have about them is not all that I can say. But they know me, I know them. They know. The kind of information I have about their work. Wow. Okay. The plaintiff is selfish and greedy and preys upon its employees, sucking everything from their successes and giving nothing back to them, and thereby contributing to their pauperization further. Or alternatively, the plaintiff is a ranking hypocrite and two-faced Christian organization. Anyway, the court will make all those determinations. The said publication and the republications received a very agitated, vibrant, and enthusiastic republication both in Ghana and worldwide. Generally, in the process, thousands of degrading comments against the plaintiff and his founder on the Facebook, Twitter, YouTube, and many WhatsApp platforms in daily conversations. The plaintiff shall contend, that's Lighthouse shall contend, that the defendants, Sulemana, Braimah, knew and foresaw that the republication of their defamatory words by other social media outlets will be made, and or that the republication was the natural and probable consequence of their own publication. Now, the lawyers are setting the stage. I like the way the lawyers are working. They are setting the stage for a major claim because they are saying that it's not just that you publish it. You were aware that having published it, other people will tweet it. You knew that other people will put it on WhatsApp platform. You knew we are going to charge you for all of that. They are setting the stage for a major claim against these young men. I don't know how, if they lose, I don't know how they're going to survive. By reason of the publication and republication of the said words, the plaintiff has been gravely damaged in its character and reputation and has suffered considerable distress and embarrassment, and has also suffered special and aggravated damage. In the immediate aftermath of the publication, there was a complete uproar in the plaintiff's branches throughout Ghana, with many of the members completely horrified and threatening to leave the church, which some actually did. And the plaintiff, Lighthouse, is presently unable to quantify and or particularize the loss it has suffered or sustained. Insofar as such loss is quantified, the plaintiff will amend the statement of claim to particularize the special damage when they become available. Okay, so why do we have news? No, okay. I've just been told that it's 10 o'clock and the cathedral people are here, the choir is here, so I need to wrap up on this one. Okay. The plaintiff will rely on the following facts and matters to support a claim for exemplary damages. And that's the point. Exemplary damage, what they're looking for. The plaintiff repeats paragraph. Okay, all right. The defendants launched their website with the space. Okay, all right. Let me hurry up. Okay, so now let me come to the conclusion of the matter. The conclusion of the matter is that we are tonight sending a petition to Bishop Dag Heward-Mills, Bishop E.A.T. Saki, Reverend Bishop Adelaide de Heward-Mills, and the entire Charismatic Bishops Conference, that in the spirit of the birth of Jesus Christ, if these defendants will let sleeping dogs lie, come off their high horse, get off from underneath the gossipy tree, and come and say that this one we were wrong. Please, if they were to do that, please, in the spirit of Christianity, Bishop Dag, I beg you. Bishop E.A.T. Saki, I beg you. And the lawyers, please, if they were to do that, let sleeping dogs lie. You are a church. You're a beautiful church. You have made such a tremendous impact on our lives. Lighthouse is an advertisement for Ghana. Lighthouse Church is an advertisement for Ghana. It's an advertisement for Africa. Dr. Yonggi Cho died recently. One of the movements that has been able to implement Dr. Yonggi Cho's work is the Lighthouse Church. Lighthouse has over 800 churches around the world. Lighthouse is one of Ghana's biggest exporter of the gospel. Bishop Dag Heward-Mills is one of Ghana's biggest exporters of the gospel of Jesus Christ. So we beg you, Bishop, you are great, you are good. If these guys were to get from underneath their gossipy tree and get off their high horse and retire their minds from the delusions of self-grandeur that they have engulfed themselves with. They walk around with some delusions as if they're some big deal. No. We are all helping. We are all writing. We are all talking. Nobody's a big deal. Yeah? So, guys, Sulemana, Braimah, calm down. Get off your high horse. You just get down and start learning the basics. Manasseh, Azuri, forget about your high horse. There's nothing in there. Your work is crass. It's showing. So, get off your high horse. Get off the delusions of self-grandeur and say that this one, it was wrong. If they were to say that as defendants, then Bishop Dag, in the spirit of Christianity, please have mercy. Yeah, journalism is an important part of our national development. You cannot be putting a lid on journalists one way or the other. So long as a journalist believes that what I did was wrong, please, Bishop Dag. When the delusions of self-grandeur go away, Bishop Saki, I know you're a lawyer, a nice man, please. And First Lady, we know that they have damaged the reputation of your husband. We know how hard you have fought for this church. We know how you have sacrificed for this church. We know how you have sacrificed to bring all of these things to being. We know, we all know. Even those of us who are not members of the church, we know what you have done. But, and this one can be very painful. It can be annoying, it can be painful, but we beg, Our country is not like that. Our media practice is not like that. This is an isolated case. That's not how media practice is in Ghana. And that's what we want to flash out as much as we can. So in the spirit of Christianity, Bishop Dag, if they were to do what they have to do, we beg. But we'll all be at the courts because this is a matter for the court to determine. We cannot determine whether Bishop Dag is right or whether what he's alleging is right. The court will make that determination. Let me conclude this final statement that in spite of everything I have said, the court will make the final determination. And everything I have said should not be considered to be prejudicial because we understand that the High Court will have the final decision. The High Court is the determiner of the facts that have been alleged. But let's go to Suhum, just so that you see what I'm talking. I talked about Bishop Dag being an exporter of the gospel of Jesus Christ from Ghana. This video I'm going to show you is something that happened in Ghana. It happens all the time. The Healing Jesus Crusade. That's Bishop Dag here. Have a look.
In 1988, I was a medical student. In my final year, I was brought to Suhum. One night, I got down on my knees and I started to pray. Kenneth Hagin was preaching in the tape. Suddenly, in the middle of the night, something jumped out of the tape and entered me. Then I heard a voice. From today you can teach. From today you can teach. That can wash away your sin, and that is the blood of Jesus Christ. God sent Jesus Christ not just to preach, but he sent him to shed his blood to wash away your sin.